While Russian armor burns in Ukrainian fields, abandoned, rusting, detonating from within, Japan has been doing something that should terrify Moscow far more than any Western sanction. No press conferences, no military parades, just 60 years of quiet engineering and $240 billion in cumulative defense investment, building an armored doctrine that doesn't fight the way Russia fights. It makes the way Russia fights obsolete. Last year, a leaked Russian military assessment admitted something their public channels never would. Japan's ground forces aren't preparing to match Russian armor. They're preparing to make Russian armor irrelevant. Stay until the very end, because each machine on this list doesn't just become more powerful. It becomes faster, harder to detect, and more devastating to everything Russian tank doctrine assumes about modern war.
Number 10. Type 91 Armored Bridge Layer. The Type 91 carries no weapons. It has no missiles, no cannon, no machine gun mount, and that's precisely what makes it dangerous. Russian defensive strategy depends on terrain as a weapon. Rivers become kill zones. Destroyed bridges become permanent stops. Advancing armor funnels into predictable crossing points, straight into pre-registered artillery. This has worked for Russia since World War II. The Type 91 carries a 20-meter scissors bridge capable of supporting 50-ton vehicles. It drives to the gap, deploys the bridge hydraulically, and retreats, all in under 5 minutes. One moment, the Russian defensive line expects a 48-hour delay while Japan engineers a crossing. The next moment, Japanese armor is already on the other side, and the entire defensive geometry collapses. Movement doesn't pause. Russian artillery coordinates become meaningless, but crossing obstacles is just the beginning. What Japan sends across those bridges is what truly changes the equation.
If you're learning something about this, please take a second to subscribe. We go deep on exactly these topics. Thank you.
Number 9. Common Tactical Wheeled Vehicle, or Modular Carrier. This vehicle has no official designation that sounds threatening. In photographs, it looks like a simple 8x8 transport, the kind of thing logistics officers care about, not combat commanders. That perception is the weapon. Russian formations depend on identifying enemy vehicles and matching them to known capabilities. A tank means one threat. An IFV means another. A command vehicle means priority targeting. When you see it, you know what it does. Japan's modular carrier concept breaks this entirely. The rear compartment swaps based on mission requirements. Russian commanders can't pre-plan responses because they cannot know what they're fighting until it's already fighting them. Every engagement becomes a guess. Guess wrong, and the tactical mismatch is fatal. Versatility on the ground is critical, but what happens above the battlefield matters just as much.
Number 8. Type 87 Self-Propelled Anti-Aircraft Gun. The Type 87 doesn't look modern. It entered service in 1987. By today's standards, it should be a museum piece. It isn't. Russian close air support, particularly attack helicopters like the K-52 and Mi-28, relies on terrain masking. Fly low, pop up, fire missiles, disappear. This tactic assumes air defense needs time to acquire and track. The Type 87 carries twin Oerlikon 35mm cannons slaved to an integrated search and track radar that never stops scanning. Detection to engagement under 4 seconds. Helicopters flying pop-up profiles don't get their second shot. They don't even finish their first. The same system shreds reconnaissance drones that Russian forces now depend on for targeting. Japan doesn't wait for air superiority to be established by fighters overhead. It enforces air denial locally, instantly, and without warning. Every Russian helicopter pilot flying toward Japanese positions faces a simple calculation. The sky that looks empty is already tracking them.
Number 7. Type 99 155mm Self-Propelled Howitzer. The Type 99 looks like conventional self-propelled artillery. Long barrel, tracked chassis, standard 155mm caliber. What isn't visible is what makes Russian artillery officers nervous.
Russian artillery doctrine relies on volume and counter-battery response, detect enemy fire, calculate origin, saturate that grid square with shells. This works when both sides fire and relocate at similar speeds. The Type 99 features MRSI capability, multiple rounds simultaneous impact. It fires up to 6 shells at different trajectories, calculated so every round lands on the target at the exact same moment. The first sound the enemy hears is also the last. And before Russian counter-battery radar finishes calculating origin coordinates, the Type 99 has already displaced. Russian artillery doesn't trade fire with the Type 99. Russian artillery gets deleted before the duel begins. Firepower wins battles, but Japan's focus on keeping soldiers alive is what wins wars. Number 6. Infantry Fighting Vehicle. Infantry fighting vehicles exist in every modern military. They carry soldiers. They provide fire support. The Type 89 does something Russian IFVs consistently failed to do. It keeps the soldiers inside alive. Russian BMP series vehicles, the backbone of their mechanized infantry, carry ammunition in the troop compartment. A single penetrating hit triggers catastrophic detonation. The turret launches skyward. Everyone inside dies. Ukrainians call this effect Jack-in-the-Box. The Type 89 separates ammunition storage from crew compartments. Its 35mm Ehrlichen cannon, the same system as the Type 87, destroys light armor, fortifications, and low-flying threats at range. Mounted Ju-Mat anti-tank missiles give it tank-killing capability from distances exceeding 2,000 meters, and the infantry inside don't ride on top of a bomb. Russian BMP IFVs deliver soldiers to battle if they survive the trip. Japanese IFVs deliver overwhelming firepower with soldiers who arrive ready to fight. The Type 89 doesn't transport troops, it inserts a combat system that happens to include infantry. Keeping vehicles fighting matters beyond the initial assault. What happens when armor breaks down determines who wins long wars. Number 5. Type 11 Armored Recovery Vehicle. The Type 11 has no offensive capability. It cannot kill enemy tanks. It cannot engage infantry. Yet, it might be the most strategically important vehicle Japan fields. Russia has lost more tanks to abandonment than to enemy fire. Stuck in mud, thrown track, engine failure, minor damage that could be repaired, but Russian recovery assets can't operate under fire, so tanks get left behind. Ukrainians capture them. The internet mocks them. Functional vehicles become propaganda trophies. Built on the same chassis as Japan's most protected tank, the Type 11 can tow disabled vehicles exceeding 50 tons while shells are still falling. Crane, winch, dozer blade, welding equipment, everything needed to repair or extract armor under combat conditions. Russian doctrine accepts losing 30% of armored vehicles to non-combat causes. Japanese doctrine refuses to lose any. Every tank recovered is a tank that fights tomorrow. Every tank abandoned is a defeat multiplier. The Type 11 doesn't win battles. It makes sure Japan doesn't lose wars through logistics collapse. Recovery keeps armor in the fight, but speed determines where that fight happens. Number 4. Type 19 Wheeled 155mm Howitzer. The Type 19 looks like Japan strapped a massive cannon to a commercial truck. That's exactly what they did, and it's devastating. Counter-battery warfare depends on one assumption: artillery takes time to displace after firing. Russian systems calculate firing position, relay coordinates, and saturate the area. This works against static howitzers. The Type 19 is mounted on a MAN 8x8 military truck chassis. It stops, deploys stabilizers, fires a full-power 155mm shell, and begins moving, all in under 90 seconds. By the time Russian counter-battery rounds land, the Type 19 is 2 kilometers away, preparing its next firing position. It uses roads, it uses highways, it goes where tracked artillery cannot follow. Russian counter-battery radar detects a firing signature. Russian guns respond. Russian shells hit empty ground. The Type 19 doesn't duel. It ghosts. And somewhere else,
The next shell is already being loaded. Artillery mobility is revolutionary, but Japan's main battle tanks redefine what armor can do entirely. The number 3, Type 90 main battle tank. The Type 90 entered service in 1990. By production date alone, it should be obsolete. For decades, its armor composition was classified at levels typically reserved for nuclear secrets. It was forbidden from leaving Hokkaido, Japan's northern island, because Tokyo feared any accident might expose its construction to foreign analysis. That secrecy continues today. Russian tanks prioritize firepower in numbers. T-72s and T-80s were designed to overwhelm NATO defenses through mass, accepting losses to achieve breakthrough. This only works if individual engagements remain survivable. The Type 90 mounts a Rheinmetall 120mm smoothbore cannon with an autoloader that outpaces Russian human-loaded systems by significant margins. Its composite armor has never been publicly penetrated in any known test, and Japan has approximately 300 of them, specifically positioned to face any northern threat. Russian tank doctrine calculates acceptable losses. 30 years after introduction, it remains classified. That alone should concern Moscow. The Type 90 proved Japan could build world-class armor. What came next proved they could rethink it entirely. Number 2, Type 16 Maneuver Combat Vehicle. The Type 16 breaks every assumption about what armored combat requires. It has wheels, not tracks. It weighs 26 tons, half the weight of main battle tanks. It looks like something designed for peacekeeping, not tank warfare. That appearance is a lie. Heavy armor is powerful but slow to deploy. Russian tanks require rail transport, careful logistics, and significant preparation time. Rapid response means light vehicles. Light vehicles mean vulnerability. This trade-off has defined armored warfare for a century. The Type 16 does both. Russian doctrine assumes you choose between firepower and speed. The Type 16 refuses to choose. It arrives where tanks shouldn't be able to arrive. It kills what wheeled vehicles shouldn't be able to kill. And by the time traditional armor repositions to respond, the Type 16 has already moved to the next engagement. Speed becomes armor, presence becomes unpredictable, and Russian planners face a geometry problem they cannot solve. The Type 16 changed expectations. Number 1 made those expectations irrelevant. Number 1, Mitsubishi Type 10 Main Battle Tank. The Type 10 is the reason Russian military analysts reportedly requested a complete doctrinal review of ground engagement assumptions against Japan, not because of any single specification, because of all of them together. Tank combat follows a basic logic: face the enemy, take hits, advance, return fire. Armor exists to absorb damage. Mobility is forward-focused. The tank that survives long enough to get close wins. Every Russian tank from the T-34 to the T-14 Armata follows this framework. The Type 10 reverses everything. Its continuously variable transmission allows it to move backward at 70 kilometers an hour, the same speed it moves forward. A Russian tank crew sees what they think is a retreating target. They pursue. They don't realize the Type 10 is accelerating, guns still facing them, maintaining perfect firing solutions while extending range. They're chasing something that's hunting them. The tank doesn't just see the battlefield, it understands the battlefield. It predicts where threats will emerge before they appear. Russian tanks were designed for one scenario: absorb hits, keep advancing, overwhelm through mass. The Type 10 was designed for a different scenario: never get hit at all. It sees first, it shoots first, it relocates before return fire arrives, and at 44 tons, lighter than almost every Western main battle tank, Japan can deploy more of them, faster, to anywhere they're needed. Japan didn't build this arsenal to conquer territory. They built it to make conquest irrational. Every vehicle on this list serves one doctrine: punishment so certain, so swift, so technologically overwhelming that invasion becomes unthinkable. And here's what should stay with you:
These are only the systems Japan has allowed the world to see. The Type 90's armor composition remains classified after 3 decades. The Type 10's networking capabilities have never been fully disclosed. Japan's next-generation programs exist only as budget line items in blurred photographs. Russia saw its tanks burn across Ukraine and asked how to build more. Japan watched those same fires and asked something different. How do we make sure that never happens to us? The answer is already rolling off Mitsubishi's production lines. The only question left is whether Moscow understands what's coming, or if they'll have to learn the way they're learning in Ukraine.